2:30.
Everyone set up? Well, Queensland is the Sunshine State, so it's little wonder that Queenslanders have flocked to embrace solar energy. In fact, we have one of the highest rates of rooftop solar anywhere in the world. 722,000 Queensland homes have solar. That's about 1 in 3 homes. It is our biggest generator in our system, larger in capacity than our 2 largest power stations combined. And today we're releasing a tool that homeowners can use to see just how much solar is in their postcode. And for everybody's interest, the highest numbers of solar installations are in places like Bundaberg and Hervey Bay. So it's not just here in the southeast, but right across the state. Queenslanders have raced to get solar energy so that they can do their bit for the environment, but more importantly, so they can save some money on their power bills. And this week, the Palaszczuk government will release our plan for the future of our energy system, how we will upgrade our system to allow us to have more renewable energy, to let more households put solar panel on their roofs, how we will grow renewables and at the same time grow jobs. As you can see, there's lots of people already working in the renewable energy supply chain, like here at this solar panel system distribution centre, where every single day batteries and panels fly out the door on the way to households right across the city to go on their roofs and generate cheap green electricity every day. Mick, Brenni, our Energy Minister's here.
Thank you, Deputy Premier. Well, it's great to be here in local member Jess Pugh's electorate. I know she's a big fan of renewable energy, and as Queensland's Energy Minister, I'm very pleased to announce today that Queensland mums and dads, Queensland householders are officially the largest energy generator in the nation. Collectively across the state, they now have the capacity to generate 4 gigawatts of electricity. And it's a power station that is growing all the time with a new rooftop solar system installed from a premises just like this one every 11 minutes in Queensland. What an extraordinary achievement by the households of this state. And in some of our postcodes across the state, we now have 1 in 3 homes having access to rooftop solar. And just down the road from here in Springfield, it's even greater, topping out at 4 in 10 households boasting rooftop solar. That's reducing the cost of living for households, 722,000 of them across this great Sunshine State. And in more good news, we can reveal that data released by the Australian Energy Market Operator showed that last Monday, solar generation accounted for a quarter of all energy generated across Queensland. That has set an incredible new record. Last Monday in Queensland, solar generated 38 gigawatt hours of energy in just one day. That is the equivalent to powering 2.4 million homes. That is extraordinary. And as we heard from the Deputy Premier, we're really keen to ensure that that solar trajectory grows because we know that the best electricity bill for Queenslanders is one where they don't owe any money at all, and solar is helping families right across Queensland achieve just that. Now, there'll be many people out there with a quarterly bill that reads much, much easier because of the leadership of our Premier, Annastacia Palaszczuk. When we saw the global impacts on Queensland household electricity bills, we moved quickly to deliver a cost of living rebate. And so Queenslanders right now are receiving their electricity bills and seeing their $175 cost of living rebate, putting money back into the pockets of Queenslanders. And we have the ability to do that uniquely here in Queensland because Queenslanders own their electricity system. So can I congratulate supply partners for playing a role in helping Queensland households and businesses across this state put even more rooftop solar, being part of that 1 every 11 minutes rooftops that go green help reduce emissions across our economy and, of course, lower their electricity bills.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so pleased to have the Deputy Premier and Minister Brenni here in my electorate, and I just want to thank Wade and the team at Supply Partners for having us today. It is obviously really fantastic news, and I can share that here in the community of Mount Ommaney in the 4074 suburbs and the postcode, that we actually have over 4,400 private dwellings that already have solar on their rooftop, and my home is certainly one of those. We know that solar is a fantastic way for families to drive down their power bill, but also to get really creative about how they use their energy, especially when we're all, when kids are home on school holidays, using those iPads and needing that extra battery power. So it's really fantastic to see that those numbers are growing, and I'm absolutely delighted to hear that the #1 provider of power in Queensland today is the mums and dads of Queensland, and we know it's not just here in Brisbane. Supply Partners have just been telling us that their distribution reach is right across Queensland. They are supplying businesses right across Queensland. Solar energy is incredibly popular in regional Queensland, and we want to see the growth not just in solar but of course in those batteries. We want to see that uptake in households right across Queensland so mums and dads can drive those power bills right down to zero. Thank you. Wade, did you want to say anything quickly? You don't have to.
I'm good, thank you.
Any questions?
So, Deputy Premier, tomorrow, obviously we're waiting for this big announcement about renewables, the government in Queensland transitioning a lot from coal to renewables. Can you tell us about the government's plans to transition to renewables overall, and also about what that means to people who work in coal-fired power stations now?
So we've already come a long way in the pathway to powering our homes and our businesses with renewable energy. Lots and lots of rooftop solar, as you've heard us talk about. A real boom in large-scale solar farms and wind farms, and you saw Mick and the Premier at one of those wind farms yesterday. We are adding greater storage to the network, and I was at a battery south of Yeppoon, a brand new battery south of Yeppoon, part of a $40 million program rolling out those community batteries across the state. So tomorrow you'll hear much more about our plans for meeting our renewable energy targets and ensuring reliable, cheap, secure energy going forward for our households, but also really importantly for our industries. You know, Queensland is home to many high energy intensive industries, and so we want to provide them with a pathway to clean, green, cheap, secure energy so we can keep those jobs here, but more importantly attract more of those jobs here.
We've been told the government's looking at increasing their renewables target from 50 to 75% by 2030. Is that something you're announcing tomorrow?
Well, you can be assured that our plan will see us meet the targets. When we came to office in 2015, people said we were mad for setting that 50% renewable energy target. The LNP railed against it at every possible opportunity. Tomorrow you will see in our plan exactly how we will reach that target, and it'll be credible because we have already made incredible progress.
Is the target 75%?
You will see a clear plan for us to meet our targets tomorrow, and you'll expect that I'm not going to ruin any of the surprises.
Is the government having a bob each way, though, by increasing their renewables target but not decreasing emissions targets?
You'll see a clear plan tomorrow for us to meet those targets, and it's not much longer to wait now.
Will the targets be more ambitious, the plans be more ambitious?
You'll have to wait till tomorrow, Melanie,
Deputy
to see that.
Premier, in regards to youth crime here in Queensland, is the system broken?
We have seen continuous and significant investment into increasing our juvenile justice system and supporting our police. Our police do a very good job. What we know is that the vast bulk of young people who come into contact with our youth justice system do not reoffend, but there are a small group of recidivist offenders, and that is where we have been focusing all of this additional effort.
How do we fix it, Deputy Premier? Because it seems that it is a continuing issue in society here in Queensland.
So we'll continue to work with our police. They work very, very hard to address crime and to catch offenders, and we will continue to take their advice about the best ways to support them.
retired Detective Jim Keogh has today said on the record that the government has blood on its hands. What's your response to those comments?
We continue to support our police. They do a really important job. They are frontline heroes, and we will continue to deliver them the resources that they want. And we'll continue to take the advice of serving police.
Deputy Premier, just on the land tax, there are numerous states now who said they aren't going to share their records with Queensland. Does the tax then become too labour incentive that it is no longer cost effective?
So as the Premier has said, she will discuss those matters with her counterpart state leaders at National Cabinet on Friday, and I look forward to seeing how those discussions go.
Why won't breach of bail be reinstated in Queensland? The government's obviously said in the past that it doesn't work, but what does need to change so people stop getting killed by youth offenders?
So breach of bail doesn't work. It's not what we have been advised to do by our police, and we'll continue to listen to
But
the
the
police.
magistrates seem, Deputy Premier, to release these reoffenders back out into the streets. This is what we're seeing continuously here in Queensland. There is most certainly an issue.
But breach of bail wouldn't change that.
The LNP says the system's broken though. Is that a fair assessment? How do you describe the system?
Look, as I say, the vast bulk of youth offenders do not reoffend. So the system is effective with those offenders. We will continue to take the advice of our police about how we can support them to reduce reoffending.
If that's correct, as you say, that the vast majority don't reoffend, why not just lock up the small majority that do?
The system is designed to support young people to not reoffend.
It is, but at what point does community safety be more important?
We always prioritise community safety. It's community safety that informs all of our measures, and that's why we have taken the advice of our police in the initiatives that we have implemented.
But would you say then if those...
If police advised us to implement other measures, then we would. But what we have done is embrace all of the measures that have been recommended to us by police.
Is it safe to say, though, Deputy Premier, if those small amount of people that are reoffending are causing those issues, if we lock them up, then would that solve the issue?
Well, that has been the effect of the changes that we've made. So there are more young offenders in youth justice now than before those changes, because the results of the changes that we made does see more offenders receiving sentences that see them in custody.
Deputy Premier, just on the land tax, why is it that the Premier needs to bring it up at National Cabinet if the Treasurer said himself that he's already, that the revenue officers are speaking to each other cooperatively?
Well, since then you've seen those remarks from other state leaders, and so I think it's appropriate now that they have made those statements, that the Premier has a chance to discuss it with them. She said she'll take that chance on Friday, and we'll see how those conversations go.
Shouldn't those discussions have been made prior to that becoming policy and then law?
The Premier will have those conversations on Friday, and so we'll get a chance to see what the other states say then.
Mr. Brenni, what's the future of the coal-fired power assets for CS Energy and Stanwell Corporation? Will you consider winding them down earlier than their current timelines?
I think the most important thing that has been talked about the last couple of days is the Premier has made it very clear that she intends to deliver our energy policy tomorrow. As you've heard from the Deputy Premier right now, it's not long to go, and I'm very confident that all of those questions will be answered, and you're all invited to come along.
What's your perspective as Energy Minister of how long these assets should still be part of the mix in Queensland?
Well, of course, as a Minister in Queensland, we have a shared perspective, and we'll let you all know about that tomorrow, so please come along. I'm sure you'll be pleased with what you hear.
The iron pot project, in terms of where the turbines would be manufactured, would it be plausible to have it done in Queensland or in Australia, or would it be an overseas?
There's a really good question about the manufacturing of components in this sector. Recently, our government and states and territories across the nation reached an historic partnership agreement with the new Albanese government. After over 3,000 days of inaction on energy and climate change, the Albanese government, after just 81 days, signed up to a new agreement for a partnership way forward, and part of that agreement is around tackling supply chain issues in the energy sector. And so we're going to work closely across states and territories and with Minister Chris Bowen and the new Australian government to see what manufacturing we can bring back here to Australia. I know that Queenslanders are keen to see more things made here. The Palaszczuk government supports that. We're making trains in Maryborough. We're delivering on our commitments to see growth of the green hydrogen industry in places like Gladstone and Townsville. We're a government that is committed to growing manufacturing in this state, to the reindustrialisation of this nation, and certainly the energy sector will play a role in that. And I look forward to working with my interstate colleagues.
Deputy Premier,
The South Burnett Regional Council has some concerns around the Toorong West project using ailing roads and bridges and that sort of infrastructure. Will the state government or Stanwell be looking to carry out upgrades as part of this project?
So I've had a conversation with Mayor Otto today, and we look forward to working in partnership with local governments right across the state in projects like this. Of course, we'll work closely with the council. I know the Minister for Transport and Main Roads is engaged on this issue, and we'll be making sure these projects get delivered in a way that benefits the entire community. Yesterday we said that one of the important things about this project, the nation's largest publicly owned wind farm that our government has announced over $760 million of investment into, is that it delivers benefits for that local community. They will come in the form of our Buy Queensland procurement policy, ensuring local businesses do a large amount of that work, but they also look to the other legacy benefits that we can deliver in cooperation with local governments. So those conversations have commenced and they'll be ongoing.
Deputy Premier, on health, on Friday you said that the Queensland Ambulance Service has been meeting its 1A targets. The documents released under RTI show between March and June those targets for 1As were missed. How do you reconcile those two statements and those documents?
Yes, so I'd have to look back at what I exactly said, Tim, but my intention was to point out that our ambulance service does very well against its Category 1A targets, but they continue to see surges in demand, and that puts pressure on their ability to respond. But we will continue to invest in our ambulance services, in our paramedics, in their equipment, and in the emergency departments and hospitals where they take people.
You said the response times for Code 1A continue to be very good. Can they be classified as very good if you haven't met the targets?
Well, clearly we are investing in them to help them to meet those targets. What I was seeking to do was reassure the Queensland public that our ambulance service is world leading and that they are very, very good at responding to the most urgent cases.
But how can they be very good if you're not meeting those targets?
Well, the demand continues to surge, but we will continue to invest so that our ambulance, our paramedics can respond just as quickly as they need to those most urgent cases.
So they're not good if you're not meeting the right targets.
And the last question.
They do a very, very good job of answering those calls, of dispatching quickly, and of prioritising the most urgent cases. And I know there's a lot of people out there who want to talk down our ambulance service, but I know it is one of the best in the world.
Just remember, can we ask you very quickly, in June you missed a PCCC meeting, you and other members. Why did you miss that meeting?
The whip made a statement in the House regarding that. I'm a deputy whip, and an explanation was given in the House as to that. I have whip duties every morning, and Don Brown cleared that up at the time, and so that was the statement that was given as an explanation in the House.
The opposition said the opposition said you were running a protection racket though for Jackie Trout at the time.
I can't obviously speak about matters that are discussed at the PCCC because it is obviously a private committee, but what I can say is obviously a statement was made in the House with regards to our absence on that particular day.
Do you regret going to that?
Absolutely last one.
Do you regret going to that meeting though?
I certainly regret the clashes in my duties, and we've certainly made plans to ensure that in the future that Don and I can carry out our whip's duties unimpeded. It's really important that the parliamentary business is able to be carried out unimpeded. I completely agree. Thank you.
I have one more question about border closures. I did wait patiently here for the press conference. Just on border closures, is it reasonable, do you think, for people worst affected by the border closures to get compensation?
We made decisions at the time in the best interests of Queensland and of Queenslanders. Those decisions kept Queensland safe. I've seen some of that reporting around, and if people think they have legal avenues available to them, well, that's their right and their entitlement, but I certainly don't regret the fact that we made decisions designed to keep Queenslanders safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just out this way.
This way.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You're great.
Thanks.